Hi, Aaron at Motionalysis again. In this series of videos, I'm going to explain length, width, and depth. You'll hear me call it out a lot within the program, but there's a specific way that we call out those dimensions in packaging. And typically, length is your longer dimension. And normally, length is along the opening when it comes to standard cartons. So in this folding carton, I'm just going to open it up that I'm going to use later in my demos. So this will be my length dimension. So I want to get the internal dimension from it. And I did that at 3 inches. So my length will be 3. My width, the internal dimension, notice I go and measure from the 0 is 1.5. And then my depth dimension inside, notice that it's 3 7/8. So that is how I call out the dimension on the folding carton. Later, I'll explain in the STE, this little notch area, how that's a lock. That'll come up in my other video. But anyways, that's the length, width, and depth for this. So then I had calculated my insert. So I have a video on how I made this insert. But once I had the insert, I need to figure out this carton, because this carton was going to go inside of here. So for this carton, I had to first come up with my dimensions. I figured it out in my head, but just to show, I needed to have an inside dimension here, and I gave it a little extra space. So I gave it a distance of 8.5. So it gave me a 1/4 inch for the length. And then the width of it, I put in, and it's going to be, I'm going to add a little bit to the width distance again, so I have some space inside it. So I put it at 5.5. Now you'll notice when I calculated the depth on the carton, the insert's going to be the depth that I wanted it up to this piece. And then the overall depth of the carton, I could have put it snug right to here, but I'm going to leave a little bit of space for this depth dimension. And the reason I did that, in case I wanted to put a booklet or a piece of foam, I gave myself a 1/4 inch of space on the top of that. So you'll notice when I come in to enter this in the software, it asks for length, width, and depth. And again, so this is my opening, and this is the longer dimension. So my length will be running, this is the length, this is the width, and this is the depth. And again, I didn't go, when you call out the dimensions on a carton, they aren't the outside of the carton. Notice here, if I go left to right, it's 9.5 inches. So my inside dimensions are only 8.5. So that takes an extra 1/2 inch to do all the folds and all the tucks. So when we call out length, width, and depth in packaging, it's our internal dimensions. Length usually goes along the opening, and then the width is the shorter side of the opening. Length is always greater than width, almost always, because you'll run into some issues. So that's how we calculate length, width, and depth in our software. Thank you.